Hello again. Last video we looked at the vocabulary. In this video we're going to see that vocabulary in action, in a story. Now let's get started. I am going to read the story and I'm going to explain things that might be confusing to you. Okay, let's start with the story. It was a hot day and I didn't know what to eat. By the way, past tense, this is all a story about some past day. It was a hot day and I didn't know what to eat. I felt lazy. Before deciding what to eat, I made myself some coffee. One thing I want to point out here is I'm using before without a subject, so I use the ing in that form. So I've got some sentences here to explain. First one, before I decided what to eat, I made myself some coffee. Here I have a subject, me, I, right? So I can use the past tense. But if we don't use the subject, like in this second sentence, we're going to use the ing form. Okay, and don't worry. Thanks to this sentence over here, it's still in the past tense. Okay, don't think that by changing it to the continuous, you're changing the tense. So before deciding what to eat, I made myself some coffee. Hopefully you can see we use this when we can, it's kind of obvious who we're talking about. Before deciding what to eat, I made myself some coffee. Of course, we're talking about me, right? Before I decided what to eat. Okay, more examples of the same kind. Before I went to my friend's house, I showered. Before going to my friend's house, comma, I showered. Okay, so again, same idea. I have the subject here, so I can use the past tense. Here, no subject. This is actually a clause, extra information. This is actually a full sentence here. So I use the ing. Before going to my friend's house, I showered. We could switch it around. I showered before going to my friend's house. I showered before I went to my friend's house. Yeah, so you can flip those around, no problem. So the structure I want you guys to take away from this is before doing something and after doing something. After works in the same way. So to summarize, before go to my friend's house, that would be the mistake. Or before to go to my friend's house, that would also be the mistake. So you have two options. Before I went to my friend's house, in this case, or before going to my friend's house. To me, I like this form better. Why? Well, because I already have a subject here, and I don't want to repeat it. It's quite obvious who we're talking about. So I don't want, for me, I don't think it's necessary to say again, before I went. It could work in third person as well. Before going to her friend's house, she showered. Or she showered before going to her friend's house. Okay, so I hope you remember these two structures, before doing something and after doing something. Now, let's go back to the story. Let's scroll up, and maybe now it makes sense why I used the ing. So, I'll read it again. It was a hot day and I didn't know what to eat. I felt lazy. Before deciding what to eat, I made myself some coffee. Normally, I use a tablespoon to measure how much coffee to put in the coffee maker, but all my spoons were dirty, so I just eyeballed it. We're using the vocabulary here. I had eaten a really good stir-fried dish the day before, so I wasn't in the mood for that day. Now, I have this in colors because this might be confusing. You see two of these that's together, and you might wonder, whoa, is that a mistake? But if we think about this, this that refers to the stir-fried dish. I wasn't in the mood for that day. All right, so I'm going to put this in red. All of this, I wasn't in the mood for that, talks about the stir-fried dish. That day refers to the day that we are talking about, which is this specific day. It was a hot day. So whatever day this was, that is that day. Okay? And I'm using that day since this story is in the past. I can't say today because this whole thing, this whole narrative is being shared in the past. So I wasn't in the mood for that day. Interesting little thing we see in this story. Let's continue. I decided that I wanted to eat healthy. So I diced up some tomatoes, potatoes, carrots, and grated some cheese. As you can see, I taught you guys to dice something. This is a synonym of this. It's the same thing, changing the preposition after it to dice up or dice is the same exact thing. It just sounds a little bit more casual, a little bit cooler to say it this way, in my opinion. For me, it feels a bit serious, a bit more serious to just say diced, okay? So I'm going to leave this up in there. Now we're almost done. I baked this mixture. What is this mixture? What is it talking about? It is talking about, well, this mixture here. Tomatoes, potatoes, carrots, some cheese. So I baked this mixture for 20 minutes and put it on my plate. It looked good, but to be honest, it didn't taste that good. I had a lot of leftovers. So that makes sense, right? If the food is not that good and there's a lot, maybe you're not going to finish it all. Maybe you will have leftovers. After this, I'm going to put a comma here. I think I like the way it sounds. After this, I felt thirsty. So I went to the store to buy an orange juice, but the worker said, "I'm sorry, we ran out of juice." All right, last thing I'll say here is, we ran out. You tell me in the comments, what do you think? Does that mean we still have some, or there's no more left? You tell me what you think in the comments, and then I'll answer. All right, so this is it for today. I hope it was useful in explaining a few more things to you. And also it was useful in reviewing some of the vocabulary that we looked at from the other video, part 1 of this video. I hope you learned a few things, and check out my channel for more English videos and more videos of this style. Have a good day.